Consistency is not my strong point. Trying things a little bit different. I'm trying to edit this stuff on the computer now, and still trying different locations in the house. I'm in the bathroom today just to see how the acoustics do on the audio. It's a little bit echoey, but that's not necessarily a bad thing for the singing. I tried singing first. A little rough. I was trying a Seal song, and I have to sing it lower than he does because he's a tenor. So that threw me off. My upper range is still definitely shaky. I think I might be going through another voice drop just in the past couple weeks. So that's interesting. I've successfully gotten rid of customer service voice for the most part, and I'm getting probably 90% recognized as male on the phone now at work. And I don't use the phone as much outside of work, but I use the phone a lot at work. So I get a lot of sir, a lot of recognition as masculine. I am getting some clients at work who, of course, see me in person and talk to me more extensively than just, like out at the grocery store or something. There's longer conversations, longer interaction, and I'm still getting a lot of new clients actually taking me as masculine. So that's awesome. I did have one long-term client at work who, of course, knew me originally as female. And she kind of carefully asked when there weren't any other clients around if I was going through a transition, and said she had some friends who were. So that was cool. In case there's anybody who's not trans who's watching these videos, that particular client, she was very hesitant in how she asked, a little bit awkward, and she said, it's very awkward to ask that. There's no good protocol for how to politely ask if somebody is trans, if somebody is transitioning. She was very careful, and I kind of gauged the client because I know her and was like, I'm trans, and then went on from there because it sounded like that was what she was trying to ask. But then she apologized and said she couldn't come up with a tactful way to ask, and I was like, as long as you're not, using derogatory slurs or something, there isn't really a bad way to ask, at least as far as I'm concerned. Generally, if somebody's going to ask about that carefully, it's because they're clued into that, because they're trying to be polite. Somebody who's not going to be polite is not going to ask. They're just going to start making derogatory comments on the assumption that something ain't right there, that you are not reading as cisgender, but you're reading as not standard either. So I was cool with that, and I don't know if that might give confidence to anybody who knows somebody that they think is trans, but they're not sure to ask. Just, quietly make sure there's not other people around, but just be like, hey, I just wanted to ask, is this something that's going on? Is this something that's in your life? And that's fine. It is tricky because there is no protocol, and I guess some people are more sensitive about it than others. But, you got to meet people halfway, or realistically more than halfway. That may not be fair, that as a trans person you have to reach out further across the divide and explain to people, this is how this works, this is what's going on. It's true that should not be your responsibility as a trans person, but realistically in society, the way that it is, that's kind of the way it seems to me that it's got to be. I've decided I'm okay with that. There are people who are living stealth who obviously don't have the luxury of that because admitting what's going on might be dangerous for them. But for anybody who is not stealth, taking the time to be like, okay, they're trying to learn, explaining things calmly instead of being defensive about it, that's going to give a good impression. That's going to help educate people, and then they're going to go, okay, that guy or that girl, if it's a trans woman, was really nice about it, and they explained, and I learned some things. I didn't know that was how that worked, and now they might be in a conversation where somebody else cisgender brings it up, and they could be like, no, hey, wait a minute, this is how it works, and it's cool, and so yeah. On the flip side of that, I guess I acted as stealth yesterday. My girlfriend had a workplace barbecue cookout thing that we weren't real thrilled to attend, and I don't think any of her coworkers were real thrilled to attend. But not to make a stereotype, but stereotypes exist for a reason. There was one of her coworkers that's upper middle class, white woman, middle-aged, and she was there with her husband. And there weren't a lot of people at this cookout. And he started talking to me, and he just was talking about everything and anything. He definitely made an impression. He didn't say anything that was direct enough for me to be comfortable speaking up, but he definitely made some comments that said to me, oh, okay, this guy's pretty racist. This guy is pretty conservative, probably a Republican voter. Might not be, I could be wrong. But even in casual speech, to say, that you saw a black guy who was with a white woman, that mattered apparently. And his pants were falling down, and if you had your gun on you, you'd shoot him in the ass. That sends a signal. So that was not somebody that I was real comfortable having a conversation with. But as things went on, it seemed to me that he was talking to me more than to anybody else there, and focusing in on having a conversation with me. That's a little weird. I'm not even responding a whole lot. I'm just kind of, okay, yeah. The only things I did respond were talking about recycling and things like that. Okay, yeah, that's a safe topic. But, I look around, and at the point in time that he was really focusing on conversing with me, everyone else there was a woman. There were a lot of babies there, and there were a lot of, some women do the thing where the babies come in, it's a kid. Okay, I'm just going to sit over here. I've never been part of that. And frankly, my wife isn't either, which says something about how well we fit together. But, I start to realize, okay, he's talking to me because I'm the only other guy in the room. And from the general impression I got of him, I'm not sure he would have been comfortable with me if he knew that I was trans, but it seemed to me that he was reading me as cisgender male. I mean, it's not a given. I don't know this guy, but generally somebody who holds the viewpoints that he seemed to hold about race, about socioeconomic levels, probably is not as comfortable with trans people either. So that was interesting, that I realized that he was probably just reading me as a straight guy, and there was no reason for him not to think that I was. I mean, I was introduced as her husband and everything, and we just got married a few months ago. So yeah, that was, I wasn't going to say anything, obviously. The dude was twice my size, probably a little slower, but yeah, not somebody I felt comfortable broaching that topic with, and there was no reason to. But it was interesting. It was an interesting experience. So that's something to note. yeah, I I've been a little bit lazy on the videos. Part of that is feeling a lack of confidence in my voice. It has definitely been changing, um, and partly that I'm struggling a little bit for music. So if there's anybody out there watching that has any musical suggestions, um, it's got to be something that reads well a cappella, because I don't have any musical accompaniment. I don't have any way to do that, and yeah. So, but as far as genre, I'm pretty open. Um, I'm not much of a country western guy, and I can't rap. I mean, I, I'm I'm pretty white. My sense of rhythm's good, but I can't rap. It would not be good. I don't want to make anybody else suffer through that. So, but yeah, I'm okay with changing pitch. Um, I do have some other songs, a backlog list of songs that I do want to do, but it's getting shorter. Um, and some of them I kind of have to brush up on. But yeah, open to suggestions. Um, I can do older Celtic folk music pretty well too. Um, that's that's something I tend to be pretty strong on. Really like seal music, but a lot of it does not work well without musical accompaniment, and a lot of it's really high. His range is incredible, but I can't mimic it at this point in time. I almost could before, and maybe I'll be able to work my way back towards that. I'm at the point where I don't know if it's worth working on my tenor range, my upper end of my range, or not. I don't know if that will preserve it at all, or if I've just got to wait until things settle down and then work back to it. Because I did do that at one point. Years ago, my upper end of my chest voice was, I don't know exactly where it was, but it was, lower. And I worked real hard over several years and got the upper end of my chest voice to go fairly well up into the tenor range. Never was a true tenor, but I could hit a lot more than I can hit currently. So I'm hoping that I will be able to work and get that back after things settle down. Because right now, if I push it, my voice cracks and breaks, and it's not useful. It's not productive. Still noticing if I get above the point where my chest and head voice overlap, and that's a wide area because my head voice was an alto before. But if I get above that into the truly high notes, I seem to have those okay. It's just where that overlap is that my voice cracks. So that's kind of interesting. But where I mostly knew to sing was lower, because where my head voice goes above my chest voice, where it goes above that overlap, is not a very wide range because I was an alto. So it doesn't give me enough room to actually sing anything in. But yeah. So I'm going to try and stitch this together. I actually sang first before I recorded this. So there's going to be a little break where I transition. I apologize that the song ends a little bit abruptly. It's one of those songs that kind of fades out with a lot of vocal acrobatics that I can't do right at the moment. But yeah, fades out with instrumentals, so I don't have a way to replicate that at this time. And there was one rough point, but did pretty well. But I did notice that I definitely had to drop the pitch below what his normally is. And physical changes going on. I had a friend, the same friend that did our wedding photo shoot, did a photo shoot of me recently in my Mad Max costume. Photos now. and I was really impressed with how it looked, which is, she says, partly due to my costuming. I say partly due to her photography skills. But I look like a guy cosplaying as another guy rather than a chick cosplaying as a guy. So I was very impressed with how that came out. I did notice one other thing. Max has a leg brace, and it goes up fairly high on my thigh, to at least the midpoint, if not a little higher on my thigh. And I made this costume in September, October of last year. And, you know, I'm approaching October is my 1 year of being on T. I'm, I guess, at about seven or 8 months now. So that was made back, you know, before I really had any effects from T. I have not lost any weight. It's just shifting around. The muscle-fat ratio is probably changing a little bit, and it's moving into different places on my body. I put this leg brace on, and the belt needed to be about this much tighter than it was. And that's a fairly significant gap. That means that my thighs are narrower than they were. It's not that I'm skipping leg day, it's just, you know, that your upper thigh, that's where women have fat accumulate. So that has gone away from there. So that was really interesting. That means I need to actually re-edit, you know, tailor that leg brace if I want to wear it again. It was very difficult in the photo shoot. It kept falling down. I kept having to pull it up again. I had, you know, masking tape underneath it to try and help hold it up, and it was still a struggle. So yeah, my dimensions have definitely changed. My girlfriend says I have a guy butt. Not a bad thing, but yeah, things are changing shape, so that's exciting. The facial hair is still, you know, it's a work in progress. I've been trying to shave the neck beard some, which I need to do again. But it's coming pretty well. Oh wow, it actually shows up on the camera now. It's coming pretty well along here, which is, you know, all right. And I got a little bit on the upper lip, but right here, yeah, that's not facial hair, that's acne, which is an ongoing issue. So it could be worse. I mean, I'm not terrible. I have noticed on myself, this is a mosquito bite. I have noticed on myself, and I've noticed on a lot of the other trans guys I see, and I haven't asked, but this is just an observation, it seems like that acne tends to center around the same areas that the hair growth is. I mean, I'm not getting it a lot up here, I'm getting it more along this area. So I don't know what the connection is there. The follicles are changing, I'm not sure, but interesting observation. I say too much. Don't know how consistent I'll be with these videos realistically, but I'm gonna keep trying to do them as often as I can push myself to do them. And I do definitely, when I hit the 1 year point, want to try singing the song I sang on the first video again, just for a post and pre-T comparison. So that's coming up in a few months. And as always, if anybody has any questions or comments, I don't get a whole lot of comments. I've seen a few on some of my videos, but by and large I don't have commentary on it. Really, if you want to talk to me, if you got questions, if you got commentary, put it down there. I will try and respond. And it might push me to make videos more often, to respond sooner. But yeah, so without much further ado, I will put the song after this, and everybody stay safe, keep positive. Even if you're not T, if you're not, you know, going that path, still, you know, just be true to yourself, and I wish you all the best. Oh. Wash my faith in dirty water, 'cause it gives my mind a little order. And I play that game just like I should do, but my whole world slips away. I live my life, I live it slowly. Yeah, take my time, I'm in no hurry. Yeah, I'm living. And when I go, then I would surely, I would dance with a total stranger, hold them in my arms. Hell, there could be no danger if I open up, 'cause when the crying starts, so if I try for happiness, maybe that will make me feel better. I can't change my ideals, I can't lose my desire. Oh, if I try for happiness, maybe that will make me feel better. Be a newborn friend for the world. Well, I wash my face in dirty water. For life, I have no order, 'cause I know that feeling when you're trying to make your way out and nothing mends. So you search for the breed of the problems that are lying deep down in the soul, and if they never end, there's a whole bunch of reasons trying to get out, but they can't make it out of the door. Oh, I know the reason I'm not enough. There's nothing, no, but if I try for happiness, maybe that will make me feel better. I can't change my ideals, I can't put out the fire. Oh, if I try for happiness, maybe that will bring us together for the better. I can't change my ideals, I can't lose my desire. I'm just a newborn friend for the world. Just a newborn friend for the world. Little rough.